All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Max, aka Local HJ, Rambles, Rants. We're going back to the Xbox. I did a video on it like a week or two ago. We're going to talk about it again because a couple things have come to light. Article has been written about the state of Xbox, where they're headed, why things are the way they are. And also just some comments I saw. You know, I've been spending a little bit more time on Reddit lately. Not ideal, but I was just trying to get a sense of how people are feeling. And so I went into the Xbox subreddit, which is funny because I've been a member of the original Xbox subreddit because I'm an enthusiast for the retro games for a while, just to get the vibes. And, you know, people were talking about the rumors that, you know, Xbox was being removed from Target and Walmart and stuff. And people were in the comments saying, oh, it's a lie. You know, people are spreading misinformation. But I mean, if you just go to those areas, you can see that they are downsizing Xbox, even if they're not getting rid of it outright, which they absolutely did for Costco. Costco carries nothing Xbox right now. And then, you know, I also saw on the Xbox Reddit people bragging about, you know, oh, I found $20 monthly Game Pass Ultimate codes in the wild, so I bought as many $20 Game Pass codes as I could. And someone's like, yeah, you really owned Microsoft by giving them $700 or something for Game Pass. And it's like, so we know why we're here now a little bit. A lot of people have done videos on this, but they were talking about how apparently like 2 or 3 years ago, around the time Microsoft started making the big purchases, which were Activision and Bethesda, opening up, you know, their pockets to spend billions of dollars to acquire not just these companies, but the developers, the IPs, everything. So around that time, that's when Microsoft proper, the company, started to turn their attention more to Xbox as a brand. Because previously Xbox had kind of just been, you know, not like enough of a financial burden to really warrant oversight. But now they have people working within more closely from the Microsoft higher ups that are demanding higher profit margins up to like 30%, which is insane. That's the kind of thing you expect from like Sony, who's at the top of their game right now, Nintendo, who's got all these crazy IPs and, you know, cheap hardware, but great sales. And so I don't know. It's just a different game for Xbox right now. They're struggling. And I just think there's this fan that there's this, like, you know, there's the hardcore fans that refuse to see the writing on the wall. And it's like, I'm frustrated because I'm a fan of Xbox. And I you know, maybe I'll put the comment up, but there was someone who was saying like, oh, well, you know, the only people who are saying stuff about negative about Xbox are people who aren't really Xbox fans and they just want to see it fail and Sony win. And it's like, you were thinking so two-dimensionally. You were thinking like, this is like 2005 and we're still at the height of the console wars. And it's like, you could pick whichever one you want and you'll still have a good time. It's not that way anymore. If you pick an Xbox, the expectation is you're going to buy Game Pass because there's not really a lot of other things going for it. If you want to play the Xbox exclusive games, what exclusive games? They're all on PlayStation and PC now. So if you want to experience those games, if you want to experience Game Pass, you can just buy a PC, you can buy a Steam Deck, you can buy any permutation. They're even selling PCs now and saying it's an Xbox, and it's just, they've muddied the waters so much and they're trying to monetize it in a way that I think just turns people off, and that's just really simple. There are going to be diehard fans who don't want to accept any criticism and they're going to try to ignore the state of things. But I think we're past that point. As you know, I'm in my 30s, you know, it's not about loyalty to any companies anymore. It's about who's going to give me the best experience for my money, because things are difficult when you're an adult. As a kid, you can go with whatever your parents give you or you ask for it for Christmas, you'll get it, right? But when you're an adult, you have to make these decisions for yourself. You have to weigh, and what am I getting out of it? And, you know, for a long time, I was grandfathered in on the old Game Pass price. This is how long I've been an Xbox fan. I'm usually like the first one in the door for a lot of this stuff. And Game Pass was a great deal for a long time, especially during the beginning of the pandemic when everyone's at home, a lot of great games coming out. And Game Pass console or whatever it was, Game Pass 4 console, I think when it started out it was like $8 or $9. By the end it was like $10 or $11. But I was grandfathered in on that old plan. I was able to play, Indiana Jones, which is a good game. But I was able to play that paying $11 a month for Game Pass for console because I was grandfathered in. But that was the last game I played kind of before I canceled Game Pass. Because just since then, even though I had the cheaper price, I think they even put a cutoff in there. They're like, look, you can top off for 3 more years, but we're cutting you off, and then you have to go to a higher price tier. So, even if you were grandfathered in on those old price, there was like a hard cutoff date of like, you got to eventually go to the new price. So, yeah, at one point, Game Pass was a great deal. $10 a month, and you get all those great games pretty much at release. It was a good deal. Now it's $360 a year if you're doing monthly, and they got people scrambling, running around trying to buy these $20 cards, trying to act like they're getting a deal. But it's like, you don't know if Game Pass Ultimate will be worth $30 a month or $360 a year in 5 years or in 3 years or however much you're going to top off for. I think you can top off a max of 3 years of Game Pass, but you don't know if Xbox will even be around back then. Like, I seriously think there's a legitimate concern that if Microsoft sees Xbox fail, they just scrub the Xbox brand and convert it to Activision or turn it into Xbox/Activision, because Activision still, even though they kind of like I have a bad name among game fans, like they're still a big name in publishing. So I think if they were to switch to a first party or a third party dev, kind of like Sega did, and just published like Forza and Call of Duty for everything else, I don't see that. I think that's a very likely future, and it's scary. I was initially going to wait because we're like in tomorrow or in a couple days, they're going to announce the new Halo game, and I kind of want to give my thoughts on that because there's been some rumors about them using generative AI to make art for the new Halo game, and I'm just like, dude, we're already like I'm already on the precipice of even giving a shit about a Halo game. And so if this is the whispers that are first coming out, I don't know. So that's just where the headspace is right now. This is the thing, when I read that comment about, these aren't real Xbox fans, I have to reiterate, if you haven't watched my videos, you can go back 20 years almost on my channel and look at some of my earliest, I think, Halo 3 clips and stuff. I've been a diehard Xbox fan forever. I give a shit. And that's why I'm complaining. If you don't give a shit and you just think everything's roses, you can just pretend like everything's great and stick your head in the sand. Or you can give a shit like me and want to see it survive for another 10, 20, however long years. I want to be on my deathbed playing 360 updated graphics. I want a 360 classic. So, I don't know. Personally, to me, it's very frustrating as a fan because I want to love Xbox. I want them to succeed. Same thing, conversation I was having in the last video about Bungie and stuff. I want them to succeed. Unfortunately, they have just kind of proven themselves incompetent in such a level. It's like, I don't know, maybe things will get better with Microsoft oversight demanding high profit. I don't know, but so far it's very scary and doesn't seem like it. I think a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. I think a lot of games are going to get canceled. We've already seen it, so I don't know. It's just frustrating time to be in the gaming space because, it's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to take your mind off things, and I find myself playing games from 5, 10, 20 years ago to really take my mind off things just because the current state of gaming is just not dope. It's not fun. The games that are getting made that are supposed to be aimed at me, quote unquote, like this Halo game that's about to be announced or the Skate 4, they're just letdowns in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And maybe it's on me. I'm being a little bit of a curmudgeon, but I think it's okay to have standards. I think it's okay to know the things that make you happy or that will make a game last long term in your own eyes and to come to your own conclusions. You don't have to just say Xbox good, Xbox bad. It's somewhere in the middle, which is that Xbox could be great, but unfortunately it's, and I constantly make jokes about it. A lot of my videos come back to this. It's capitalism. It's the drive for profits. It's not about building a community or kind of naturally building this stuff up, naturally building up an audience. They're trying to force it to happen. They tried to make Game Pass such a good deal that it was unignorable and then jack up the price later. And just people are just tired of that cycle with streaming services. I have cut out almost all my streaming services. I've got like Spotify. I've got YouTube, which I shouldn't pay for anyway because you could just use ad blockers on browsers. And the last one, I'm going to talk about it is Crunchyroll. And I've already mentioned in the past, I feel like I should do a video about Crunchyroll because they are a monopoly on anime in the West. Like, they are the de facto app. And if you try to use any of the competitor apps, I mean, they just all eventually get folded in anyway. You had Verve, which got bought up by Funimation, and then Funimation fused with Crunchyroll, and that was a huge mess. This is why Crunchyroll deserves its own video. But anyway, I digress. Microsoft has finally turned their demon monies, lawyers and everybody, all their eyes are on Xbox now because it's not making money, and they spent billions and billions of dollars. So people are like looking at the bank account, waiting for that billions of dollars to come back in. And Xbox just has kind of fumbled everything up to this point. I really wish them the best. Unfortunately, I think the writing's on the wall is what I said earlier. Is like, I think we're cooked, boys. I want them to make a great new Halo game. I want them to continue making Gears of War or Crackdown but all these franchises that are important to me, but I'm worried about it. Anyway, I have a couple ideas for some more videos. I also am worried about the Jet Set Radio reboot remake that Sega's doing. Sega's kind of in a weird spot right now where they're doing some things right, so I kind of want to make a video about that. Let me know if you're interested. But yeah, Crunchyroll and Jet Set Radio remake, probably some future videos. I'm definitely going to talk about Halo reboot, whatever, when they announce it. So yeah, but I appreciate all the views, all the comments. People have been cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to talk about stuff that's been on my mind a lot lately and try to articulate it from a real fan perspective of like, look, man, I'm not trying to be overly negative. It's just hard these days when, you know what I mean? It's so obvious why things are going sideways, because if you put people who gave a shit in charge, I think fans would happily run back to Microsoft. If you made a good Halo, a good Crackdown, a good Gears of War, a good this, that, whatever game is your nostalgia, a good Fable, a good Perfect Dark, all the things that they keep freaking canceling, if they make these games, people will come and they'll play them and they'll buy Xbox just to play them. I used to buy an Xbox just to play Halo, and I'm stuck now with this dusty Xbox, that broken disc tray. Anyway, I digress. Ending the video. Once again, I am a diehard Xbox fan, and I'm like, what are they doing, bro? They need to get, either they're smoking that good kush or they need to start smoking that good kush, because Microsoft fumbling the Xbox bag at every opportunity for the last decade straight, and I'm tired of it. Anyway, peace.